Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, a lot of CEOs think they can put a ping pong table in the break room or a slogan on the wall and suddenly they've got workplace culture. No, they've got another thing coming. We'll talk to our leading national expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So I have to confess, I have not always had a great place to work. There was a time a few years ago where I dreaded coming to work at my own company, and we only had 7 employees. It was a very sick company. Thank God I've got a great workplace culture. We call it a Thank God It's Monday company, but I've got to be honest with you, I think I just got lucky. We just got the right mix of people and it works. I have no formula, and to talk about how you create a great workplace, let's talk to Jeff Schiefelbein. He's the co-founder and chief culture officer of Five. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, and I love that Thank God It's Monday culture. Mine is you get to, you don't have to. I get to come to work today.
Wow. Okay, we were joking before we went on the air that his company is called Five, the number 5, and he has 5 kids. And I said, now did you have to have 5 kids?
You know, number 5 just came this month, and I think we were also joking, of course I had to have 5. It's the magic number. And my wife didn't know I was going to name a company 5 when we got married, but I think now she's glad I didn't name it 15, right?
Exactly. All right, first tell us what Five does.
Yes, sir. So Five is an energy consulting firm. We work with commercial and government and industrial clients all throughout the U.S. and Mexico. And you can think of it as if somebody were to bring in an expert that knows every part of the electricity and natural gas world so that they're not stuck making really important decisions, pretty expensive decisions, about how to buy power, how to use it, how to monetize their assets, what they're going to do about this craze around green energy and renewables and backup generation. We collectively had served in every capacity in the deregulated electricity world as executives, traders, lawyers, and so our team came together and we look like an electricity supplier. We look like we have all the same inner workings and knowledge base of the big suppliers, but instead we decided to be an advisor and to take that objective approach to serving the needs of the client with the knowledge of the supplier. And it's worked really well. We started 9 years ago.
Wow. And Jeff, you have an amazing workplace culture. I want to point out that there are a lot of companies that they'll bring in a consultant and they'll do a lot of navel gazing and saying, okay, what is our mission? And then they'll paint on the break room wall their mission statement, but they're not living it. And so the employees look at that and say, that's kind of a joke.
It's cheap, right? It can only go so far. If it's the paint, it's paint. You know, where's the substance behind it? And so when I think about if you walked into our office, sure, you're going to see awards all over the wall, but all we want is those to just be an outward representation of the internal reality of our culture. I love when people get to visit our office or even our website because I think they enter into a new experience. It's palpable that people there want to be there. It's a Thank God It's Monday culture. They sometimes will mistake the laughter and the jovial nature as these people must be in a free-flowing, happy environment. It's because we're working so hard as a team. And collectively, that team is achieving things that nobody could have done on their own. So that fulfillment that comes from breaking through and creating new high watermarks, that's why people are laughing so much and not taking themselves too seriously, but are very serious about the value in the work product for our clients.
Well, Jeff is not only a great guy, he's something of a budding filmmaker, because we came across this wonderful video, and he just told me before we went on the air that he made the video himself. So let's go ahead and roll that now.
Best places to work? Yep. We win a lot of those awards and we're really proud of them. But what do all those awards mean to the people at Five, to our team members?
What gets me here every morning more than anything else is the people. It sounds so cheesy to say that we're like a family. I feel like everybody says that, but it's so true here. I don't know how else to put it into words, that they are some of my favorite people in the world that I get to come here and help every day.
We treat people the way you would want to be treated, and it creates a lot of freedom and it creates a lot of empowerment for people.
I think our employees really do feel like they're accomplishing something when they're at work. There's this fulfillment and productive thing that they get to gain from their careers.
You know, I always tell new people that you have the chance to go into the office of a former CEO of one of the largest energy companies in the U.S. And those are opportunities that not everybody has.
There you have it. Five isn't one of the best places to work. Five is the best place to work. We're simply the best at what we do in this industry, and we love working together to help others.
Wow, very cool video. You know, if this chief culture thing doesn't work out, I think you have a career as a filmmaker.
I can also tell my beard got a lot grayer with 3 more kids since I made that video.
So before we went on air, you were telling me a great story about an employee that you gave an opportunity to. Would you share that story?
So I was coaching our head of finance. His name is Shashi. He had moved to the States from India back maybe in 2008. And he's an incredibly smart, incredibly valuable asset to our company and to the people around him. But he struggled because he wanted to get better at public speaking. He joined Toastmasters. I was coaching him through his videos. He was on speech number 3 and COVID hit. And so he kind of lost that opportunity. Fast forward about 2 months later, we just hosted an online meeting, made it optional, and said anybody who wants to in the company, come listen to Shashi give a speech. And of our 60 employees, 53 of them show up to Shashi's talk. Without me giving him any prompts, does a 20-minute talk about his life, why he has 2 birthdays, and why he's afraid of public speaking. People cried, laughed, and they felt so endeared and pulled in. And he did a phenomenal job, worked through his nerves. But what happened next was the magic. It was 30 minutes of affirmations from team members about his speaking ability, about who he is as a person, about the details of his story, and then emails and text messages to me from our veterans, from people who just joined our company, talking about this is the kind of focus on human beings and human growth that drew them to Five and that keeps them coming here and that they get to come here every day.
Wow, and I think it's really creative how you used Zoom in a virtual environment to create a memory for everyone. And we keep hearing about Zoom fatigue. So give people some takeaways. How do you kind of juice up?
Sure. First of all, it's not going away. So quit acting like we're about to get to some new normal. This is it. You're going to be on Zoom even when you're back in your office. We were there for 4 years. People need to spend a little bit of time, like you've already done here, on great quality audio, quality video, quality lighting, because it makes a big difference if I can see you. And then be intentional about what is the event or how are you going to start off your meetings so that people feel connected. We hosted our annual all-hands meeting, and instead of flying everyone to DFW, we had to do it on Zoom. This was October. We had a special series called Why 5, where employees would talk about what it means to them to work here. Every one of them ends in tears. I brought in a U.S. Congressman, Will Hurd, who's didn't run for re-election, to talk about leadership. Why not? I don't need to have people in person. If we're on Zoom, he had people crying. And at the end of just day 1, we hosted an improv comedy troupe where all of our videos would disappear and they would pop on as if they were on stage. And people were dying, laughing, and enjoying the drinks that we shipped to them and all the surprise and delights we shipped to them. So it was online, but it was very connected and very meaningful.
Well, Jeff, your company's always on the best places to work list. We're going to go ahead and put up a full screen. I think you were just named by the DBJ again, yes, one of the best places to work. What does that mean to your employees?
You know, for them, it's just like I said, it's an outward symbol. It's kind of a high five moment. But what they feel is the everyday part of it, where we may treat each other like family, but recognize that our real families come first. We may talk about how the organizational structure is such that you're a fully formed human, you're a fully formed man or woman, and we're going to give you tremendous responsibility. And not only are we okay with the mistakes that you might be making, we need you to. We need you to stumble your way forward. And those awards, that's a time where it reminds me of an Alabama football game. When they score a touchdown, they do high five and they do clap. But boy, they're right back on the field ready to kick off again. And that's what we've tried to create in this culture is, yes, those awards, it just gives us that moment to breathe out, way to go, but it is by no means the destination of what we're trying to reach.
And your customers know that they're working with a happy workplace, because I know if there's a high turnover, it's frustrating to the customer to say, hey, our rep just left, or if you have a rep leave 2 or 3 times in a year, now they're thinking, what's going on with my company?
It's a terrible experience, right? And I see it all the time that people can tell that not only are people happy with the job that they're asked to do and the way they're treated, but that they're given the freedom that we've told them, why don't you go out and solve problems for clients? And when you need our help, we're here. We want to be a part of it. But do it together with your teammates. Don't rely on a top-down approach. And I mean, the example I was giving you before this is I just heard about the story with the Cleveland Salvation Army as a client of ours. And our team, when COVID hit, had to call every client and work through energy issues, rebudgeting. Are they out of contract now because they're using less power than they were? You know what they said at the Salvation Army? We don't need to talk about power. We need thermometers so that we can get reads on people as they come in here. And we can't find any, and they have a crazy budgeting and procurement process. Our account managers, without any question, bought and expedited the shipping for a bunch of those to this client, because that's what that client needed in that moment. And that was our chance to step up without any, I'm telling you, I just heard the story. This was 10 months ago, right. But no management approval. Just take care of these folks. And it reminds me that on some airlines, I get on there and everybody's happy even when things are going poorly. And others, even when it's a perfect flight, I'm talked to as if I've done something wrong. And no naming names. It's just, it's a night and day experience, and I will go out of my way to be on an airline. That experience is going to feel like I'm valued.
I know exactly what you're talking about. To give more information about what your company does and how happy your customers are, let's go ahead and roll another video.
Growing up in Mansfield, I've seen it change. I've seen it go from a small country atmosphere into this large suburb, and the sense of community's always felt the same. As a utility, it's fun for us because we kind of tag onto that. My name's Jeff Price. I'm the Director of Water Utilities with the City of Mansfield. The challenge of procuring electricity has kind of always fallen under the utility just due to the fact that we have a water treatment plant. We're one of the biggest users in the city. We're not the experts in electricity, so trying to procure it ourselves wasn't an option.
The City of Mansfield was under a contract that was expiring in the next 12 to 24 months. So one of the first things that they needed from us was to bring them opportunities to lock in favorable budget savings on their supply agreement.
We were almost on the verge of just saying, well, we're going to stick with a group of cities. We're going to stick with a coalition. Lucky for us, 5 showed up at the very end of that process, and we realized that from those discussions that our load in the market will stand on its own. We felt comfortable moving away from that coalition type of management.
Since then, we've locked in over $9 million in total savings. The city's main consumer of electricity is their water treatment and water pumping plant. It's a very large, very modern plant.
We have almost 300 miles of water pipeline, and we have 4 different pump stations that we utilize to move the water throughout that distribution.
There was opportunities there for us to help them not only reduce energy consumption, but also reduce their delivery charges. From the very beginning, the city was really hungry for knowledge. Their operating teams did not have a lot of understanding of how operating decisions translate into delivery costs.
Energy in the plant, it kind of goes hand in hand. It's one of the biggest line items in the budget. One of the great things with 5 is they actually came in and spoke to our staff, showed them the data behind all of this, and kind of painted a picture that was easy for them to understand and improve upon our operations.
Simply training the operating folks on how their operating actions translates into higher delivery charges, and then giving them strategies of things that they could do, turning pumps on, turning pumps off, when they turn them on, a whole combination of things that were really no capital required, but resulted in significant savings to date, up to about $100,000. Even in a recent city council meeting, it was pointed out how well that water plant operating team has done to drive that $100,000 or so of cost out of their cost of electricity.
I tell you, 5's been great. I talked about the challenges from going from a coalition of a bunch of cities to having to make some decisions on your own. Well, you're not making decisions on your own. you've got this representation from a company that knows what they're doing and really has the experience in this industry. And I think that their commitment to customer service and to being there when they're called on is just outstanding.
So something that I picked up from on that video is happy customers, and happy customers make for happy employees as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you think about the way that we've treated these customers. In our industry, it's normal for people to lock people up with these exclusivity agreements, and if you do anything wrong, Mr. Customer, we're going to come after you for damages, and you can't leave us for X number of years. What we did in this example, I was at that first meeting he talked about where we came in at the last, kind of the 11th hour before they were going to move forward. We give it away. We give them all the information. We say, even if you don't use us, here's things you should consider. We've looked at your load data. This is the way we would approach it. And what we're banking on is A, we're here to help people. So even if they're not our client, we're going to help them. And then B, by being very helpful to a client like that, they're likely to stick around for a long time to come. So when you translate that same concept into our employees, we do not put our employees in non-solicits. We do not put them in non-competes. In fact, I'm very against those things that would cause somebody to not be able to provide for their own family should this not work out. If I hired the wrong person, or they had a life change that caused them to need to move on, or they had a better opportunity, I don't want to be the cause of their financial demise and their struggle. I want to train them, I want to invest in them, I want to love them. And if they stick around because that works for their family at that time, great. If not, we can still all be friends. Wow. The world's a big world. This is a place of abundance. Let's all go make it a better world by helping these clients.
Jeff, you've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back on soon. Let's go ahead and put the website up to end this segment. It's energyby5.com is the website. Jeff Schiefelbein, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.